Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact, where business insight meets startup innovation. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Brian Sparks.
Thank you. Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact on Pirate Cat Radio, KPCR, 92.9 FM in Los Gatos and beyond. What you're about to hear is edited for radio. I'm your host, Brian Sparks, and today my co-host is Mariane Bekker. The purpose of this show is to have honest conversations about what it takes to build great businesses, communities, so you can make an impact within your own. With that being said and getting that out of the way, Mariane, welcome. Second episode for you and one of my favorite all time, of course, having you by my side. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm so excited to be back, and I'm really excited about the different guests that we have today because one of them is actually my best friend. But Ryan, why don't you go ahead and tell us why do we have so many amazing hats in front of us?
Okay, so those of you who are watching or listening on the radio, you can't see them now, but our studio is filled with amazing hats. We've all picked out hats from Black Cat Hats in Los Gatos. We have Aileen here from Black Cat Hats. We're going to bring her on a little bit later in the show, but I got a cowboy hat. You got something a little flashy for yourself, right, Mariane?
I got a little like Hunger Game hat, but I'm so excited to wear it and then do the interview with it.
I love it. I love it. So Aileen is in the background. Lucy is in the background. She'll be on the show in a little bit. We got Brian on the controls. Brian.
Hey, everybody. We're happy to have you here today. Super excited. The studio is full. We got some people over here in the audience. We got people sitting off in the wings over here.
It is a packed
house. And everybody in the studio. So it's a very exciting show today, Brian.
And you got your Kango bucket hat.
I've got my
LL
hats
Cool
over
J.
here, too. I got my Kangol and my other Kangol. And so I have headphones on, so I'm not going to be putting those on for you right now. But Black Hat Cats, I'm just going to say, super excited. Aileen is a staple here in this town, and she provides amazing service, and I want to go on and on, but I won't.
Okay. So today is also another signature day, and that's why Mariane is here, because we are focusing on women in leadership. So I'm going to hand it over to you, because you've brought in some amazing people today.
I'm so excited about Viktorija. So Viktorija here, she is the CEO of Basic Magazine, and she's also my best friend visiting me from LA. She's also a big LA influencer. So Viktorija, welcome on the show.
Happy to be here.
So tell
They love you already, Viktorija. Viktorija with a J and a K and a L. Yeah.
So Viktorija, what is your last name?
My last name is Pashuta.
Why is it Pashuta?
Because I like to shoot.
That's amazing. So Viktorija, tell us a little bit about you and what you're working on.
Well, like you introduced myself, I am the founder and CEO of Basic Magazine. It's part of the Basic Media Company. It's a media empire company that does production, fashion publications. We create content for brands and things like that. So it's been my passion since I started doing fashion photography 14 years ago.
And Basic Magazine, where is it sold? Where can people find it?
Good question. So Basic Magazine is an international publication. It's a quarterly publication available in fashion capitals and as well as Barnes & Noble stores in the United States.
Wow, that's amazing. And then, so a little bit about a history about me and Viktorija. So Viktorija, can you tell a little bit about our audience about how we met and how we became like such close friends?
Is this riveting? Is this really where it's going to get interesting? We're going to start talking about all those other topics that you brought up, relationships and high adventure.
We were not going to talk about our relationships publicly. This is a very private matter.
You and your millions and millions of fans are listening in.
Fans, but we were going to talk about all the cool celebrities that Viktorija shot.
Okay. Can I ask before we get that, because this is going to get really good. And what I want to know, and of course a lot of our listeners want to know, is why marketing? The crossover I want to kind of make with Silicon Valley is that there is a crossover between art, marketing, and business. What was your attraction to marketing? And then tell us about those exciting stories that you got.
Right. Well, I do have a degree in marketing, actually, with the background in English philology, which was kind of useless degree back where I'm from in Latvia. And when I moved to the United States, I realized that there was a void in the fashion market, and I couldn't see the role models that I was personally aspired to in the in the fashion magazines. That really motivated me to start my own media, especially in print back in the day. And I feel Basic is not just a fashion publication. I consider it as a culture publication because it does report on what's going on, about the current events that's happening around us.
So the reason why I was like super excited to bring Viktorija in is because like now for startups, one of the biggest and most important thing to help you grow is distribution. And distribution is all about marketing. And the reason that I got inspired by Viktorija so much is that she has over 150,000 followers. So once you have that distribution channel on social media, then it's so much easier to sell your product, whatever it is. So that's why I'm super excited to have her
Mariane,
here.
let me get this straight.
Yep.
I love what you just said, and then we're about to hear more from Viktorija on this, is you built your community first. You built connection first, which made it then a lot more easier to bring the product to market. I mean, there's a new term kind of coming out called go to community strategy, and then you can go to market.
Stay where you are.
Say what I'm okay. We're doing some
Don't get
technical
distracted.
adjustments. All right. So there's this go to community strategy that then almost accelerates your go to market strategy. And Mariane, am I making sense?
I don't know.
All right.
What are you asking?
So I'm not asking, but it sounds like, again, you built a community first. You had those engagements, those followers, and then you brought the magazine.
Well, it's interesting because my story is really a non-conventional story. The way I started my business, the way I started it, I didn't read in any of the textbooks. I didn't read in any of the news. I pretty much followed my heart. And the business, how Basic was started, it started from my passion to fashion photography that pretty much brought me to creating something completely unique and never been seen on the market before. I cannot say I started starting the community first, because when I came to California from Europe, I had zero connections. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have that community, right? I didn't have people followed me. I didn't have those, important folks I can give a call and say, hey, I need help with that. So pretty much everything I started was from the grounds. And therefore, since I started being a fashion photographer, I'm a completely self-taught person. I was hired to be a creative director for a local magazine in LA, and that gave me access to publicists, gave me access to the networking in the fashion and entertainment world. And from there, I pretty much went against the grain. I started something that nobody could believe I could do as an immigrant person. A person with zero connections could pick up and start a business from zero, pretty much not knowing a single person. And that's how we build a community. I would say it was stemming from passion and dedication and patience and being consistent in what you do.
So now, Viktorija, your magazine sits next to Vogue, right? And Vogue has like millions and millions of dollars and tons of resources. But yet you bootstrapped this from scratch with zero network. So what is your secret to success? And most importantly, like, how did you build such a strong following on Instagram and on social media when you didn't have the network to begin with?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. Because if you take competing publications like Vogue, they've been on the market for 150 years. They have thousands of people and staff. With Basic, it's different because we came from the point of view of the creators. We came and became the voice of those who were underrepresented in the community. I was scouting emergent designers and student designers and those role models that you wouldn't find on the glossy pages of the magazines. So for me, in that point, was really kind of being a rebel in a sense, that creating something that I believed in, first. What was again the question? Sorry.
It doesn't matter the question anymore. But okay, so this is a question that popped in my head, okay. Just now when we were talking. So you're so good at this Instagram game, right? And I saw you operate and I learned so much from you, and I'm using kind of some of your content strategies for my LinkedIn. Are you able to take Brian and turn him into an Instagram star, into an LA influencer?
Absolutely.
Be nice.
Absolutely. He definitely has the charisma and the personality.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
So what are some tricks you can tell to like business owners to start their social media journey and to kind of grow their following?
Well, everybody's journey is different. What worked for us and for me personally, I created a buzz by creating viral stories, visual stories. One of the stories you can Google, and if you Google my name, you can find one of the series were what if guys were internet browsers, or what if guys were social media networks, and what if girls were internet browsers. And when I did that shoot, it literally became viral. We got millions of hits. That story was translated to many languages worldwide. And what I did using my visual aids, I created using the logo of each browser, your logo of each social media icon, and transform them with fashion using models that would look like those icons. And that's the power of art, that it connects people. And then when you, even not knowing anything about fashion, anything about art, you look at that image and you have a conversation, you understand what I was trying to say. And that's really the beauty about what I do. It's uniting and connecting people and elevating them and pushing them to do something different.
So how do you identify someone's unique story? I mean, Marianne's saying how you would, elevate my brand, but if you were consulting a startup, what would be one of those first steps in order to find a brand that would resonate with their particular market? Where's that first step?
Right. Well, to me, again, I can put an example on, and it's easier for me to use a visual example to make my point. One of the shoots I did was what if supermodels were cars, and the first thing I did, I analyzed, because I know nothing about cars. If you talk to me about any of the car models, all I know, this car is red, this car is white. That's all I knew. And I really wanted to excel in that field. So what I did, I interviewed a bunch of guys. I said, okay, can you tell me what are those characteristics of BMW? How Tesla is different from Toyota? Tell me not about the technical part, but tell me, like, what do you feel when you're in that car? How does it feel? And once I interviewed the guys, that gave me pretty much an information on the market, so to say. And then I started to dissect it and say, okay, how do I show a Ferrari, right? And then I realized, okay, it's an exotic car. It's a car that everybody wants. It's the fastest, one of the most badass car. I know Bugatti people would be upset. But anyway, in that time, I thought it was Ferrari. So I got a brunette girl, like super sexy and attractive. She was a Ferrari. And then I took a girl like a next door in jeans and tank top, and she was a Toyota. And then we dressed up a girl in futuristic outfit, and she was Tesla. And any person in the world, no matter which language they spoke, they look at the picture, oh my God, this is Hammer. Oh my God, this is Mercedes-Benz. This is like the James Bond, a lady, right? This is Ferrari. And that pretty much tells you, and to answer your question, you need to find those characteristics. How are you different from anybody else? You analyze the market, you analyze your competition, you find those keywords, and then you apply yourself to that situation. In that case was, okay, what are those unique characteristics of the product? Now, how can I be unique and how am I different?
Hey, Brian, I just want to charge in here. If you were a car, what kind of car would you be?
A bulldozer.
I
Oh, nice.
could totally
You're gonna
see
take.
that.
I can see you
bulldozer.
taking a bulldozer to the prom.
Yeah.
Like showing up.
Yeah, tractor, bulldozer.
Okay.
That's why I got the cowboy hat on the table.
Marianne, do you know what kind of
Okay.
car you'd be?
I would be like a red Hyundai. That's it, because that was my first car and I fell in love with that car. And that kind of spurred all of the rest of my career, because I would use that car to go into my engineering classes.
So, Victoria, how are they doing so far with their social media campaigns with a bulldozer and a red Hyundai?
I think we can create some buzz for sure.
She's like, Brian needs help. So, let me say what I'm hearing. I'm hearing three things for our audience to kind of take away. Number one, you started with talking about what you're passionate about. I mean, you went from photography, you went to marketing, but it didn't evolved. And then I'm hearing a quick pivot. You called it analyzing the market, but actually what I'm hearing is you empathized with the market. You understood them, you learned from them, and you find relatable images and
Sure.
vocabulary to connect with them. And I think as a organizational communication specialist, I think that is a phenomenal way of connecting with your audience, resonating. And it's no wonder why you've gone viral so quick with your magazine as well as your community.
Yeah, so every time I think about content, right, like really good pieces of content, they do either two things. Either they entertain or they provide value. And it seems like you really nailed down how do you entertain people, right? Like how do you bring all these emotions to your audience, and that makes them resonate with you, which is like one way that you went viral.
Right.
So shifting a little bit back, because I want to talk about that. So you photographed some of the biggest celebrities, right? Who was some of your favorite celebrities that you worked with?
Well, we've worked with numerous celebrities from Megan Fox to Michelle Rodriguez from Fast and Furious. We work with Isla Fisher, with BB Rex and Ava Max. But one of my favorite celebrities to work with was actually DJs. I absolutely love working with David Guetta and Steve Aoki. I just felt there's something different about the energy of working with DJs, how they could captivate the attention of such a huge crowd, and you can feel that energy that came, on set through photography and working with them. That was really incredible to work with DJs.
So Brian, if you could meet one celebrity, who would it be? And Victoria, could you arrange it?
I could possibly.
It would be more in sports.
Okay.
Yeah. So I grew up a big sports fan, so I think it'd be in sport. Do you deal with sports?
Well, actually, we haven't, but I was thinking to do a sports edition coming up because you have the Olympics, right, coming up in France this summer. So I was researching a few quite interesting personalities, especially like Sha'Carri, the fastest woman in the world right now. So it would be really interesting to do an interview and a shoot with her.
I got a question. So you have
Hold on a second, Brian. I want to know who your sports interview was with, or your sports figure
yes.
meeting.
Oh, mine?
Yeah, yours.
Yeah.
It'd have to be Joe Montana or Cal Ripken Jr. Growing up, they were my heroes.
Just needed the reveal on that.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. You need. Okay, I left. It was a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
We were
it
going to go to
was.
commercial. That's where the big bucks are. All right, follow along, Brian. So now I lost my train of thought. So let me kick it back to you, Marianne.
Yeah. So Victoria, tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you encountered, like growing Basic Magazine, and then how did you approach those challenges?
Very good question. I feel everything was a challenge.
Okay.
I probably didn't mention that when I started Basic Magazine, I had zero knowledge on publishing, zero knowledge on printing, on logistics of things. All I knew is I'm doing art, I'm creating something beautiful, but then I didn't realize what I'm really getting myself into. And I think that was sort of a blessing as well, because if I knew what I had to face, I probably would never have had the courage to start a print publication. Because imagine starting a print publication, the digital times, you have to be really insane.
Yep.
When the whole world was telling you, guys, you have to go digital, start with a digital publication. I said, you know what, if I'm doing it, I'm doing it right. I'm doing it in print. And I conceived the idea in October, and in January, I released the first print edition of Basic Magazine in Barnes & Noble. And that was quite challenging, but, it happened, and I can talk on and on of how many challenges I faced every single day.
Awesome. Well, this is one of the things that I've encountered in the best entrepreneurs I know, is that they don't take no for an answer. When everybody is telling them you cannot do that, they figure out a way to do it. And that's exactly what you did. So Victoria, you and I, we met at, Brian, if you want to know if you're interested, we met at a tech conference here in SF, and we became very, very close friends. And then we are both very passionate about empowering women. So we had this idea, well, what if we bridge the world of women founders between SF and LA? And we wanted to start a community of female founders, both in SF and LA. But we initially started in SF to prove the market. But now we are so happy to announce that. What is the good news, Victoria? Tell our audience.
Let it rip.
Okay, I'm going to make it short. We're starting a community in Los Angeles for FemFounders,
For female founders.
for female founders.
And we are going to have a big event in August. And then we are going to bring all of the media, entertainment, tech in one place. And that's going to be our connection to LA.
I love it. And again, it's back to this idea of building a community. And
Exactly.
clearly it's smart for you two to connect and collaborate, because I can see the synergy. I can feel the synergy. I can feel the love in the room. Before we pivot and bring in another guest, Victoria, I gotta ask you, I find my old brain remembered what I was going to ask earlier. You have what Marianne described, this ability to kind of just continue to lean forward into your ideas. And I love that you're going to publication, because it's much like radio. It's not dead, right? I actually think that there's a big tool there.
Definitely.
But how do you gain access where others don't? Because when it comes to Silicon Valley, people come all over the world to gain access. You couple that with a branding strategy, some marketing, find out what people are attracted to bring them in. But again, there's this accessibility. I know, Marianne, I think that's what we're really trying to allow our listeners and our audience and our community to be more empowered around, is getting access to, whether it be funding, customers, resources. How have you leaned into that and gotten access?
A very good question. I feel, especially in Hollywood, it's a small world, like probably anywhere else. And any idea or any project is based on relationship. And I always, give advice, look close to where you are and look close to your surrounding, because the first publication of Basic Magazine was actually based on one of my previous customers who hired me to be a photographer. And she was the first female who actually believed in my vision and said, you know what, you're going to shoot this campaign, and this campaign is going to fund your first print round of the publication. And then with that being said, it's very, very important how you behave and how you, sort of communicate with the surrounding. And then each connection can bring you and open new doors. So for me, it's always being active, always be in the movement. Either it's going to events, either it's emailing people. I usually don't tell people how many emails I sent. It was hundreds and thousands, and I received thousands of no before I'm getting that one yes. And that's pretty much determination and being consistent and being passionate, because there would be that one person who will believe in you. And sometimes I feel we give up halfway. We think nobody's going to believe in our idea, nobody's going to really like it, or it's not trending right now. And you most of the times give up too soon. And I feel like just one more time, just one more call. And usually at 6:30 p.m., that one call would be the one that I would get yes, and open additional doors. And that would be something that I would highly advise to any person who's having any sort of business ideas or projects. Never give up, always be persistent. There always will be a market audience for your project.
Marianne, we just hit her passion button right there. Let me tell you, that was...
I could feel the passion here. I could feel the passion. Thank you so much, Viktorija, for being here. It is my absolute pleasure.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're not
here.
going anywhere. You're going to be off camera, so you can pipe up as much as you want in the background. But before we rotate mics here, how can people connect with you?
You can follow us on Instagram at basic-magazine.com. Sorry, basic_magazine. And my personal Instagram is Viktorija_Pashuta, Pashuta. I'm not really on LinkedIn, so follow me on Instagram.
She only goes on LinkedIn to like my posts.
You're in the wrong place. These people only use LinkedIn.
I do.
Where can we get physical copies of the magazine? Is it only in the Los Angeles area?
So you can actually order it online. We have a website, basic-magazine.com, and you can also find us in Barnes & Noble.
I love it.
That's
Okay.
great.
Thank you, Viktorija, for joining us. Let's go to break.
Thank you.
We are KPCR 92.9 FM in Los Gatos and beyond.
All right. So, Marianne, we've got guest number 2. Phenomenal. We got Lucy in the house. Lucy, say hi.
right.
Pull that microphone closer to you.
All right.
And-
Does that work?
Yeah, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. Brian's making me nervous. He's getting out. Oh, geez, it's like Dad getting out of the...
You can continue.
Okay, so Marianne, go ahead and Lucy's in the house. Startup. Love the story.
Lucy, I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for taking time of your busy day. So the reason why I'm so excited to have Lucy here, she's such like an amazing person to know, but also she has a really fast growing startup, and they raised how much money?
100 million.
Only 100 million?
Yes, yet.
That's amazing. Okay, so Lucy, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your startup.
Right. So I'm Lucy Park. I'm a co-founder and chief scientific officer of a startup called Upstage AI. So Upstage AI sells document AI solutions and large language models to startups to enterprises. We go from domains from legal to biomedical and finance. So that's a broad range of a lot of domains. We also sell based on cloud and on-premises. So basically, a lot of the companies out there can be our companies.
Awesome. And then, Lucy, tell us a little bit about your journey to the U.S. because you come from Seoul, correct?
Yes, Seoul, yes.
Not Seoul. Seoul.
Soul.
Lesson
Seoul.
learned.
In
Seoul.
English, in
Seoul.
English, in this country, it's
Got
Seoul.
it. Got it.
So I studied my studies on industrial engineering when I was a university student. I went on to studying data mining in graduate school, but then we kind of went on to majoring machine translation at a company called Naver. I met my co-founders there. We started to build up this company, Upstage. And building Upstage, it's been 3 years. We found that, okay, we know how to go to market within Korea, but the world is so broad out there. We need to go out there. And one of the markets that we came was the United States. And so that's why I'm here.
That's awesome. This is the perfect radio show because Brian has been covering Silicon Valley for a while. So Brian, maybe give her some advice. Like, how can she come into the market in the US when she found so much success in Seoul?
Well, I think you're in a good environment. And so the question that was actually top of mind for me is, well, I'm not an AI guy, but I know it's all around me. So who is your target market and what is the pain point worth solving from that perspective?
Right. So one of the main use cases that we're targeting in Seoul was that we were targeting large enterprises, particularly in the finance domain, because finance has a lot of potential in terms of improving the market, improving the industry with AI. But they don't. They have a lot of barriers in terms of tech. So we kind of help them in solving their problems. One of the problems was One of the problems was insurance claim processing. So when they're trying to process their insurance claim within the company, they needed a lot of people working on this. They had people manually typing in stuff into databases. We kind of automated that. They wanted to summarize the documents for lawyers because lawyers were using like 40 hours per claim processing a document. So we kind of helped them out doing the summarization and the question answering towards those documents.
That's amazing. So Lucy, you raised $100 million. How did you do that?
That was a lot of perseverance. So I don't think VCs like give you money like just, I mean, in the beginning, they kind of, you kind of have to build up the relations with the VCs. They kind of have to trust you as a founder. But after that, you have to prove that you can actually scale. So you have to show them in numbers. You have to show them by customer satisfaction. So there was a lot of work, a lot of challenges on the way. But I don't think that there is like one typical way that we got the funding. It is that we just kept building the company. We didn't give up on the way.
So quick question. You're talking a lot of, my previous question was around your customer. How did you decide the best way to go to market? What was your go-to-market strategy? How did you build those relationships? In a timely manner, right? Because once you decide to launch, the clock is running. You don't have time for a long runway of building relationships, but you did it. What was your strategy?
Well, actually, that's a very interesting story because the first year we founded, we didn't actually build a product. We actually did a lot of enterprise level projects. And we went to customers doing interviews and asked them, hey, what problems are you trying to solve? And can we solve those problems through AI? And are you willing to pay? So those were the 3 questions that we were asking to customers. And after that, we figured out that document AI was one of the most important problems that the companies wanted to solve. So we started building document AI.
And I love this because I see like the same story over and over again where entrepreneurs go in their corner and try to build for a year without talking to the customer. But you actually did it the opposite way. You talked to the customer first and then you had a product.
Yeah, I think that is a very important process because otherwise you won't have a customer at the end.
Exactly. So you need to know what you need to build first before building it. And then you set up kind of your distribution channel by interviewing the first set of customers.
Right, right.
So at what point did you then decide to raise funding?
So I think the right time of getting funding is a matter of decision. Okay. So you have to determine whether you're ready to scale. So readiness for scale is like the thing that you want to look into. If you're confident with your product, your customers are satisfied with your product, and like customers are lining up but you don't have the resources to actually scale into those customers. I think that is a very good time for you to get some funding, to get the members, get the GPUs to actually scale. But if like the customers aren't like lining up yet, then you still have to persevere a bit more, dig your product a bit more, and so on.
So it seems like it's after you found product market fit.
Yes.
Everyone's looking at me. The only thing that's going through my mind right now is if you were a car, what car would you be?
Are you
Sorry,
looking
that's
for
still stuck.
Are you looking for a do-over, Brian, on your car? Is that it?
And anything is better than my answer because I don't know cars, so I just improvise.
Your answer
I
was
always want to
fabulous,
be an
Mariane.
automated
Don't-
Tesla.
You want to be an automated Tesla?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Lucy, you've been doing this all in Korea. Is that what I understand? Like you're not here in this environment in Silicon Valley like everybody else that's been on this show for the most part. Is that true?
Yeah, so we started up in Korea. We decided the market has to be bigger for us, and that's why we're going global, and that's why we're here. So we're expanding to US at the moment.
And so, just curious. I mean, you've been here for a while here in Silicon Valley. Are there significant differences in the way things operate and the language that people use and how things get done, or does it seem like it's just very similar in both places?
Right. So I want to touch upon two aspects. The first one is community. So the community here is so vivid. I mean, everything is I love the hype here. I love the vibe here. There's a meetup, a hackathon like almost every day. And so that is where I feel all the energy, and that's the point I love. The second is a business aspect. So I really love the fact that there's a lot of competition here. The market is very live, I would say. But there's a whole big world out there that is very different from the market here. So like to be a little detailed, for instance, a lot of the business here evolves around cloud services.
Yep.
Like in Korea, in a lot of countries in Asia, a lot of companies still want on premises. So that makes a very big difference in terms of product. So like go to market in the US and in Korea and in a lot of the Asian countries is very, very different. So what I realized being here is that you actually have to go to the market physically to realize the differences.
That's interesting. I never thought about that. I thought the whole world was already in the cloud, but I guess we live in a bubble here. So talking about AI, right? What are some of the trends that you are foreseeing in AI?
Oh, so, well, of course, because our company evolves around document AI and LLMs, we are all about automation and empowering people by pushing their productivity up. So I'm definitely rooting for productivity. So a lot of the work that we're currently doing in our working environments is definitely going to be automated. Some are going to be extracting the information. Some is going to be about summarization. Others are going to be assisted by virtual agents through question answering.
So talking about AI, like what inspired you to pursue a PhD in AI? And that was before AI was the hype. That was before LLMs.
Yeah, you kind of touched my age there, but so I majored in industrial engineering, and a lot of my friends were going for consulting, management consulting, or like finance. But I kind of was always a builder from the beginning. I wanted to build things. And I think that when I started data mining, I learned that programming really empowered me in that sense. So yeah, that's how I got really engaged in programming. And then since I was majoring data mining, that kind of led me to AI. So everything was very coincidental. But yeah, I kind of found the way into my career.
You found your footing by like following your passion, right? You
Yes.
started coding and then you came across data and then now you built a company.
Yeah.
And you raised 100 million. That's a huge accomplishment. So tell us a little bit, what is next for Upstage? What is your next milestone here in Silicon Valley?
Yeah, so what we want most is, since we have our company almost established in Korea and We know how to go to market. We want to learn how to go to market in the US. We want to find a company that wants to work with us, probably a small startup or a large enterprise that has a lot of documents inside and they don't know what to do with this data. We are definitely one of the partners that you are looking for.
Nice plug. I love it, by the way. Let me ask you this. What are some of the things that keep you up at night as a startup? And what have been some of your hurdles that you have overcome when you said to yourself, this isn't adding up, and yet you still found a way?
Well, that question leads me to so many thoughts, so many practical thoughts. I wouldn't want to talk about many of those, but
I want to know now.
Yeah, I know. We all want to know now.
But this is what founders deal with, startups deal with. It's like the unexpected.
And truly, I think a lot of the listeners would like to know that. I know it's maybe not the thing you came here to confess, but
You can generalize, clearly. Yeah.
I think if you say one word, I think it would be alignment.
Okay.
So
What do you mean by that?
aligning the team, aligning with customers, and figuring out how to do this from beginning to end. I mean, that is the most toughest part, and that is where all the challenges come in. So to get into detail, maybe somebody figures, hey, we're working in B2B, but I want to work in B2C. And they're kind of like struggling to find alignment within the team. The customer wants some special customized features that we're not really getting into. How will we persuade them to still work with us? So everything, I think, is about alignment, and that is where all the challenges come from.
And I think that's the hardest thing about being a leader, right? Is that you have this vision, but now you need to figure out how do you bring other people to follow you. And I feel like that's when your story and your passion comes through, because people can relate to that, right? So what are you hoping to, let's say you have a magic wand, right? What if you could change anything for your company, or if you can fix anything, what would it be?
I would have some of the major financial companies, leaders, probably CIOs and CTOs, and sit them right in front of me.
So that you could talk to them.
Of course, so that I can pitch them.
So mentors, right, is what you're saying, is again, access to top advisors that could give you the direction. And again, that goes to the question we asked Viktorija earlier, is getting access. How have you made that leap from Korea, where you would, I mean, realistically think, well, that's where all your resources and your comfortability would be. When you come here to Silicon Valley, how do you now navigate the accessibility to those particular resources? I mean, you've raised a lot, but what are some of those challenges in terms of accessibility for you?
Right. So we're currently in month 3, so we're still at the exploration phase. But I can tell you that we're definitely trying everything that we can do. So we're actually trying to meet top profile people that can introduce us to very important customers. And on the other hand, we're also participating in so many meetups and hackathons to meet developers and see what pain points they have. So it's like a whole spectrum of doing everything in terms of go to market, and probably, hopefully, we'll find one of the shorter ways to eventually get to our customers.
So I'm abundantly curious at this point. So you're exploring.
Yeah, we're currently exploring.
How do you manage that? Because exploring and networking, because I've been in Silicon Valley all my life. I'm a second generation entrepreneur, and I see people in the arena of startup, but still a service provider. And nothing that there's anything wrong with that, but they've have a heart for startup, and they have an idea. They've told me about their idea, but what seems to be the biggest problem is now managing that time, pivoting, going through the resources you have. And so here you are in Silicon Valley with all these resources available to you. How do you not get immersed and lost in just learning and learning and learning? Because a lot of people are going to, what they do, I'm probably going off in the weeds here, but what they'll do is they'll study and they'll study and they'll prepare and they'll prepare and they'll take no action. When do you cut it off and take action and you go, we'll just go with what the hand we've been dealt today?
I think it depends on how much viral you're actually getting from the actions that you're actually doing. So, like, say I went to a meetup and there are like 10, 20 people that I actually met. do they actually spread the word by themselves? Then I think that is where I should keep pursuing marketing. Other than that, I have to come back and work on innovating our product. So I try to balance those because I work on product with the Seoul team and I work on going to market with the US team. I work my way, I kind of distribute my time in terms of viral. So
I like that. So basically, you take an action, which is, okay, you either meet someone new or you go to a meetup and then you come back and you analyze what was the result of that
course.
action and then whether I should continue doing what I have been doing.
yes.
Okay, that is great advice because it's so easy, like Brian said, to just get lost into just going to events, talking to people, but not really seeing any results from them.
Right.
So I like that you're very like data driven in that side, which makes sense because you have a PhD in.
And you're
in
testing,
data and
constantly
AI.
testing and reiterating. Is that a big part of the process?
Yes, I'm definitely evaluating and experimenting all the way. One other point is that whenever I go to a meetup or a hackathon, I always have a goal. I have to meet this person and talk about this agenda. And after I fulfill that, I'm satisfied and I can go home. If I don't, I stay there.
So you just march into the event and like beeline straight for the person,
Demand.
and then you're out.
Take me to your leader. Yeah.
Okay, so question. So that's how Lucy and I met. We met at a hackathon. Were you intending to meet me? It better be yes.
That was a serendipity that I loved.
Okay, I love meeting you as well.
Nice, nice. So, what is? Marianne asked you next steps. What is kind of a big win for you in those next steps? You mentioned customers. You're clearly all startups need customers, but what are some other things that need to be reiterated and executed on?
I mean, we need to meet customers, but meeting customers is the first phase. We need to actually get a contract with the first customer. We want to satisfy that one customer. And then after that, we will probably go around the market saying, hey, we have this use case, this success case. Is this case similar to yours? Then we can probably spread the word and go to market. That's why it's so important for us to get that first contract.
Real quick, and then we'll wrap up. What has been the sales cycle for you? Because I know all industries have different sales cycle. And how has it been for you discovering what that process has been like?
Like in Korea, since we have a lot of sales there, it's quite long. It's 3 months at the shortest. It sometimes takes up to 1 year. I would say the average would be about 6 months.
Wow. Okay. So there's a big. So how can people get in contact with you?
So
To learn more.
Yeah, we have an Upstage AI website. You can also search me up at Lucy Park in LinkedIn. So those are probably the two ways that you can probably get
So
to
go
us.
on LinkedIn to meet Lucy and go on Instagram to meet Victoria. Just remember
We're
that.
covering all the platforms
Exactly.
here. Well, Lucy, thank you so much. Good luck to you.
Thank you,
and we really
Lucy.
appreciate
Thank
you
you for having
Thank
me.
you.
here.
We're going to take another little break here, and then we'll come right back. Stick with us.
All right. So, Marianne, we've got guest number 3. And last but certainly not least, we have Aileen joining us from Black Cats Hats. Aileen.
Aileen,
oh my
Ryan,
God.
Aileen.
I
We
did it again.
rehearsed
You looked
this
at me.
beforehand.
She gave me the stink eye right
Aileen.
now.
Okay, wait, redo it.
Let's just roll with it because you
Okay.
see, I'm nervous because I'm surrounded by such super powerhouse women today.
What do you have on your head, Brian?
Do you like my cowboy hat? So we all got. So for those of you who can't see it right now, we all have hats on from Black Cat Hats from Aileen's shop. Aileen, say hi. Tell the people of the world a little bit about yourself. Just do a little intro.
Okay, hi, I'm Aileen Larson. I'm the co-owner of Black Cat Hats here in Los Gatos. Staple here in Los Gatos. We've been here about 16 years. So we're very well-known, women-owned business. And we carry hats for all different types of events and for everyday wear, outdoors, derby, camping, beach, you name it.
I love it. And so, Victoria, correct me if I'm wrong or critique my delivery here. Who are you wearing right now?
I'm wearing Borsalino right now.
Is that good? Did I nail that?
Yes.
Okay. All
Yes.
right.
Especially on the red carpet.
Thank you. I've earned my right.
Brian on the red carpet.
Brian on the red carpet. And who is Victoria wearing?
She's also wearing a Borsalino.
Okay, so
Yes.
Borsalino. Who am I wearing?
You are wearing Stetson.
Cowboy, black hat. I'm the black hat.
What about
cowboy.
me?
And Marianne.
And Marianne's wearing actually.
Brian, please.
We're get you, Brian.
I'm here too, okay?
What about-
in my, in
what
my
is Brian-
fashionable,
Brian's
my fashionable
wearing-
Kangol?
The
LL Cool J.
Bermuda, he's wearing the Bermuda bucket by Kangol.
So sweet.
It is.
I
It's-
love this hat.
it's
I'm
really
definitely
cool looking.
buying this. This is not just a prop. This is now my hat.
Oh, I think you.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll take
Yeah,
care of you.
it's a thing now. So Aileen.
Yes.
Aileen.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your life before Black Cat Hats, and then that decision to leave, because you were in corporate. I mean, I already knew the punchline, and you decided to pivot into entrepreneurship. Contrast those two lives for us. I kind of gave you a lot. You can jump in wherever you want.
Okay. Where do I start? I mean, I've been 40 years. I've been in retail my whole life, with a little bit of restaurant at the beginning. So I'm not college educated. I've educated on the streets and in stores my entire life, and I've moved out on my own when I was 18 years old, back in Canada. Moved to the U.S. in 1990. And then moved out here in '97 by myself with a promotion. I was working for Macy's.
When you say
Wait,
by
you're
yourself,
Canadian?
I'm American, but I was raised in Canada.
she's
Me
gonna ask
too.
you-
Yeah.
Very cool.
Oh,
I know a lot of
I
similarities.
just wanted to mention
Whereabouts?
that I'm Canadian, Montreal. What about you?
Winnipeg.
Very cool.
So when you say you moved out here, did you come out by yourself, like solo ride?
I came
hitchhike?
out with one person and left that person behind when I moved to Nevada. I left that person behind and came here by myself.
There's just something. Okay, Marianne. There's just something about our guests who are doing phenomenal in life and business, who leave their home of their country, their state, and go somewhere else and then create. It's almost like a blank slate where they create.
Exactly. They come here with no network, no connection, and now they are running these extremely successful business. It's so inspiring.
I love that. So those of you who are listening, hear the power of coming out of your comfort zone. And make no mistake about it, we were talking about this before we went live, Aileen. This is what's going to hit you. It's the imposter syndrome. Most everybody, unless you're A-type narcissistic, is going to have some sort of imposter syndrome. Should I be doing this? Am I the right person? Am I in the right place? It's going to hit you. And we were kind of joking about that a little bit. Did you, when you came at that young age to California, and then you can contrast that going into business, leaving corporate, did you experience those doubts?
Oh yes, I remember driving down Santa Cruz Avenue in my first car I ever bought and saying, "I'm going to know people here someday. Someday I'm going to know people," because I didn't know a soul. I came up for a job, and I remember the first thing I did was make sure I was social with everybody. This is before social media. This is in '97, so I made sure that I worked. I came working for a cosmetic company and opening a bunch of counters at Macy's, and anybody who asked me to go out for a drink, anybody, even if I didn't really care for them, let's go. And that's how it all started. Then I started going to parties and weddings. And then, of course, I met my staff I had, and then branching out there. And it just became this huge thing where I was able to I was able to keep growing in my career. And I left that. I always wanted to be a national makeup artist. That was my big thing when I was 30 years old. And I was working as an account manager with Lancome. And so I said, I want to be a national makeup artist. And they're like, oh, well, what are you going to do about that? I'm like, well, give me one and I'll show you what I can do with it. So I had a huge event at my counter, and then that just blew up. The expectations of the volume was incredible. So then I said, watch me, I can do this. So I became a national makeup artist for 2 years at that time with Lancome. And so traveled all the West Coast. It was fantastic. And but then, of course, traveling 5 days a week was tough, and I was going to get married. And so I ended up leaving that and moving with another person that I had worked with prior, and she helped me get into the next career with the limited brands, Victoria's Secret. So you can see it keeps going corporate. After that, I jumped into being a district manager for a junior company. Then I went back into cosmetics. Then I went actually to Chico's, believe it or not, the company,
Wow.
The store. Which is where at that time in my life, I had two young children. I was married, and I loved it for a while. But then, of course, when leadership changes, the whole feeling of the company changes. So what we were once valued for, we weren't valued for anymore. And my biggest thing that I ever wanted to do was always help people, especially women. women are my favorite because they always were so vulnerable in their wherever they were. Especially in retail, they felt uncomfortable coming in. They were always uncomfortable, typically with their bodies and what they should be wearing. And that's just been my superpower, I guess, is to be able to just to look at somebody and be able to know exactly what's going to fit them. What even down to what size lingerie to of course hats, etc. So it's a bigger thing than just being in hats. So. Anyway.
That's music to my ear. Just hearing that, you want to help empower women. So having you, it's so brave to come out here and say, okay, well, I was having doubt. I was having imposter syndrome. Do you still feel it now in your day to day?
Sometimes as a mom, but other than that, no.
Okay,
No.
I still feel it.
Yeah.
Because we are always putting ourselves like in different situation and comfort. So I want to talk to the women out there that like, we're all feeling the imposter syndrome and we all have doubts, but the way that you grow is stepping out of your comfort zone like you did and going through different challenges that led you to having now your own business.
Doing something different every day that scares you. And today is one of those days.
I went into her shop the other day. I had not Victoria, I had Skylar. My other daughter's name is Victoria. So I had Skylar with me, and I said, "Hi, I'm Brian." And she goes, "Yeah, what can I do for you?" And I said, "You want to be on a radio show?" She's like, "Oh, shit, God, no."
Oh God, no.
But then she opened up and she's like, "Well, tell me more. Tell me more." And here she is today.
Love it.
So that's the
Everybody's
whole,
reaction, right, is usually, "Oh God, no."
No,
but
I
then,
don't-
yeah.
I don't want to hear my voice, none of that. But it's just, it's definitely very empowering sitting here and then having people actually ask you that they're interested in what you do. So it's been.
Well,
really
I think
fun
what's
so far.
interesting is you.
Oh,
And because you've gone from all over, from Canada to here, corporate to starting your business. What has been in retail? Because there's a lot of crossover in terms of being a business owner and startup. What have been some of your challenges when it comes to being such a successful retail company?
Well, what's that my transition really quick was from because of all the changes that had happened in corporate, and the leadership kept getting more and more uncomfortable, and I was honestly fed up because I couldn't be who I wanted to be. So when I actually when I was the current owner of Black Hat Hats. She was selling the business and she was going to close down, and I wanted to get together with her to talk about joining the business. So at the time, instead of her, she closed or she sold everything out, and I was going to buy the business from her. And so in March 2014, we reopened. Then I had some unfortunate life events that had took place, so I wasn't able to completely buy her out. So she actually became my business partner, and to this day, we're still business partners. So, and we have almost two completely different roles in the business too. So I really feel like I've learned so much differently and I have more power in my position than I ever did with a corporate. I have power to buy. I have power to sell the way I want to. I have power to be able to, get anything a customer wants and not be limited by, oh, well, I don't know when this is coming in, or I don't, I know everything that's happening. So I'm like, I have just the thing for you and I can recommend other brands where when you're with corporate, you're just stuck with that one.
I think whether you're talking about business or personal development, art, music, creativity, and Victoria, correct me if I'm wrong, in all industries, whether you're campaigning for your startup, campaigning for fashion, trying to engage with the community and grow your business, this marketing, this art is so healing and growth oriented. I mean, I think there's a deeper dive and some insight into that, but how have you engaged with the community to stay open for so long, particularly during COVID, where so many businesses locally shut down? What were some of your strategies to stay connected and to stay profitable, stay open?
Well, we did have to close for those few months like everybody did. But it was just having a consistent business open. Like we were open these exact hours every single day. We closed 2 days a year. So people always knew that the hat shop was always open. It wasn't closed on July 4th or wasn't closed early here. It was always consistent. So I think that's number one. And I think, we've got such a huge return customer. And mind you, we're not a digital business. We're completely just a small business in person. We do have some exposure on social media with Instagram. We could obviously do a better job of it. But trying to sell that particular product online is a little more difficult than having it in person. So we have people from all over the area, our tourists, et cetera, that are definitely accustomed to being serviced in our store and with expertise.
So, and I want to give a plug here for Black Cat Hats, because when you do walk into Aileen's store, you feel warm and welcome and very well cared for. You and the people who work with you are attentive. They're interested. It's not just is there anything I can help you with today? They engage, and this is why you're successful, and that you've been successful, and that you have repeat customers, and that the people in this town really appreciate having you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then before this, we walked into Aileen's store, and honestly, I never thought I would like hats so much. And it's like such
You're
a
rocking
cool
that hat, by the way.
experience. I know, I am.
That's you.
Thank you. You're rocking the hat
Thank
too
you.
as well.
Thanks.
But I loved walking in your store. So why hats? Tell us a little bit about your mission.
Well, I guess more so hats and accessories have always been my passion, because they just add on to anything basic. Like, I think about, just a basic outfit, jeans, a t-shirt, maybe a blazer, but with a hat and jewelry, how it completely changes the look. I mean, I have to do a plug here. I'm really proud of myself, because Victoria over here, this sweet little petite thing, she's got a petite head, and we found the best hat for her. And so that's another thing, off on a tangent, but we have hats for all sizes as well.
Yeah, I wanted
So.
to comment is it's been a challenge for me to find a hat, because I do have a very small head, and definitely Aileen has this talent to scan a person real fast and tell them what fits them, and then that's the hat she picked right away. I'm like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fits perfectly.
So that goes hand in hand with me saying how I love to be able to help people with something that they're not quite, they're not giving up, but they just say, I can't find anything because of my size or whatever, or,
Yeah.
I love it. So how can we connect with you and Black Cat Hats?
We're on Instagram at Black Cat Hats, and we're also on Facebook, Black Cat Hats. But we're also on 59 North Santa Cruz Avenue, right around the corner here from this podcast. And we're open 10:30 to 6 daily, only closed on Thanksgiving and Christmas. So yes, that's coming into the store. We'd love to see you.
Beautifully organized, great selection, wonderful inventory, and amazing customer service.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
I also want to suggest that maybe Aileen knows Jeanette Blasey. Do you know
I
Jeanette?
do
here
know
in town?
Jeanette. Yes, I do.
Don't we want to give a shout out to Jeanette
Yes.
as well?
Yeah, so
That's a
I
customer
want
line.
to
Another local shop owner.
Yes, I want to give a big shout out to Jeanette Blasey of Los Gatos, the Vault, Los Gatos Jewelry. She's a big supporter, so we want to definitely give a shout out.
She was on the show if you want to listen to her and talk about her experience as well. And again, I said this to you before you got on. I think you guys are forerunners in women-owned businesses. The people who are on look up to people like you for having created something out of nothing and blazed that trail. And so we all really appreciate people
You're
like
very
you.
inspiring.
Yeah, and I
you
want to
guys have
thank.
been so great. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you all for being here today. Aileen, thank you for being here. Victoria, amazing. Thank you for being here today. And Marianne.
Thank you for having me, Brian. It
Yes,
was awesome
again.
doing this
So,
with
and that's a wrap, everybody. Thank you for listening to Silicon Valley Impact. You can join us every Tuesday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Make sure to follow us at Silicon Valley Impact on Instagram. If you'd like to be a guest on a show, contact me, Brian at Brian at SiliconValleyImpact.com. See you all soon. This is edited for radio, Pirate Cat Radio, KPCR 92.9 FM in Los Gatos.
They love you, Brian. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
In all my glory.
I'm very on tangents. I'm so sorry.
That's good. Okay.
All right, well, let me move this.
I love hearing stuff in Brian that's like they're all immigrants. Not immigrant, like we have Montreal. Yeah, I come from Montreal. Were you born there? No, I was born in Lebanon, but at 7 we moved to Canada. So then I came here.
I know. Well, I'm trying to get the hat in there. I want to emphasize the hat and the gang sign.